Hello and welcome to a brand new episode of Up Close and Personal with Finance. Joining me today is Rajashree Nambiar, CEO of IIFL Finance. Thanks very much, ma'am, for joining in today. I want to talk about digitization because that's the way forward as far as financial products across the board are concerned. Take us through how IIFL Finance is really leveraging technology.
Yes, so at IIFL we are leveraging technology in every aspect of what we do as a finance company, be it customer acquisition, credit underwriting, disbursals, collections and servicing. Just to explain, in customer acquisition, we've been leveraging on eKYC, on digital signatures to get papers signed remotely. We are using also data-driven analytics for cross-sell and upsell, and we also have marketplace tie-ups with aggregators for digital acquisition. On the underwriting side, we've been using automated scorecards, which are data and analytics driven. We also have, we use information within the company for instantaneous decisions. That's on the underwriting side. Collections, we've been leveraging on the digitized payment platforms like IMPS, IMT, UPI. And on servicing, we've given our customers self-service on our mobile application as well as on the website. We are also, even in something like collections, we have digitized collections and we're using tablets to do our field collections.
So are there any products from IIFL Finance today that I can go and get in an entirely paperless format?
Yeah, Avni, you'll be surprised to know that every product of IIFL you can get a paperless format. And products as conventional as gold loans. On gold loans, we've introduced tablets, which you'll find in our branches, which is an end-to-end paperless process. We do that for commercial vehicle finance. We have tablet onboarding, which is again paperless. We do it for home loans, and we are now in the process of introducing that for SME loans.
You know, from a regulatory perspective, whether it's SEBI, IRDAI, RBI, all of them are really trying to make this process easier for companies. From your perspective, what's really the need of the hour at this point to leverage technology better?
There's really nothing much to complain because there are adequate number of interventions from the regulatory point of view or the government side. So whether it's the eKYC, which is a big boon, the digital signature, which is really helping us, digital lockers, where I would say that we haven't really adapted that. And if there is something which still remains to be done, I would say that is really automating or digitizing the debit mandate process, because we use the NACH, the NACH, which still is in a paper form. And I think that's the last thing that can be provided to make the process 100% digital.
Okay. So what would you say are the biggest challenges that you're facing in this process, in adopting the digital or the paperless process?
On the challenges side, the very fact that we've done quite a few things would mean that we would have sort of overcome those challenges. But if I had to look at it, I would say the challenge really is in the mindset. And to get the right mindset in the organization is the biggest challenge. It helps to have sponsorship at the leadership level, because that really makes things move fast. The other challenge which is there is sometimes there is an internal resistance. There are people who are really used to the old way of working, used to the physical sort of arrangement, and sometimes the internal resistance sort of sabotages attempts to digitize. And I think one thing that really helps and overcomes any challenge is to get complementary skill sets in the company. So we've consciously looked at a mix of the youth and the old as we build the teams. Because having the right age and the mindset really helps getting digitization through.
What's the kind of response that you're seeing from customers for the digital and the paperless format of products?
Listen, for a player like us, you know, it is a highly competitive market, and you know, on the pricing side, there is only that much an NBFC can do. So we see the customer experience and the promise being the biggest draw. I think when we talk about an instantaneous personal loan or an instantaneous SME loan, there's a huge market for it, because this is not a file driven process where a file gets picked up and then gets underwritten and then somebody communicates a decision. What we are saying is, if I can give you a solution right away and I tell you, here's your loan, this is the sanctioned amount, and you can get the dispersal in your account today, that's a very, very big draw. And I think there is a huge market for it if we can provide that effectively. Okay. And that's what we are doing.
The other big step that the government has taken, as you also just mentioned a while ago, is the UPI. How do you see that aspect really playing out? Do you envisage a time where you'll be able to possibly offer loans through UPI?
Yes. So today we disperse loans through IMPS, IMT, NEFT, RTGS and everything. So on the cashless payments, there's still some challenge, because there is high transaction cost, operating expenses. So we think that UPI would be a big advantage. This is seamless payments and settlements across banks. And if you're able to bring down the transaction charges, it makes a lot of sense. And I think the adoption of customers towards cashless payments will increase. So we are quite hopeful. In fact, in the past, we've seen when the NPCI came in and we saw a reduction in the ATM switch fees. We think that the UPI would do something similar for cashless payments. So yeah, it should be good for us.
Right. And how do you see sort of the market really panning out in the next 5 years? To what extent do you feel that this is something we could see become a reality more and more?
Yeah, looking at it from the digital point of view, for example, work that we do, we've also working with BankBazaar as an aggregator. The very fact that today there's no point in designing systems which are physical infrastructure led for the customers who come and approach us through files, etc. We think, just giving you an example of a very small fraction of the SME customers that we started doing business digitally through aggregators. This is a bare 1 to 2%, and it is said that in the next 5 years this is going to jump up to 70%. So for us, we think that we will have to be there on the digital space very soon to be ready for what we do anyway in the physical space today.
And finally, I wanted to ask you about the investment of CDC Group into IIFL Finance. What does that really bring to the table? And as far as IIFL Finance's growth goes, because the last few years we've been seeing a compounded growth rate of about 30%, is that something that's likely to sustain going forward?
Yes. So two questions there. So on IIFL's plans, we are very optimistic. We've grown at a fast pace of growth. You're right, 30% plus CAGR over the last 4 years. I think that's the pace of growth that we will continue over the next 4 years for sure. For us, affordable housing, micro and SME, these are going to be spaces, SME loans, these are going to be areas in which we will focus, while we will continue to remain diversified financial services firm, and we will of course be retail like we have been. So that's where we are. In terms of, I think a lot of our growth hinges on our ability to digitize and leverage on technology, which we will continue to do. Talking about CDC, a very credible name, development institution of the UK government, very proud to be associated with CDC. I think besides the fact that we have access, we've got access to funds and we have access to debt funding too from CDC, that is probable. But I think that what we see is in terms of a focus on governance, and CDC is associated with some very good names today in India, and we look forward to some transfer of good practices too from them.
All right. Thank you so much for joining in today.